Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you to this panel discussion, Business Operational Excellence and Digital Transformation through New Age Technologies. And I've been joined by our Group Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh, sir. He's been motivation. He's led from the front. Since the lockdown in March, he has ensured that we get the best from the corporate, from the academic fraternity to our students so that our students do not lose out on the important knowledge, no matter how unprecedented the times are. And this panel discussion as well is one of his initiatives, his guidance, and we are truly thankful that we have such panel members with us. Before I hand over the session to Dr. Singh for his opening remarks, I would quickly introduce all the panel members to our audience who has joined us, to all the faculty members and students. I will start off with Mr. Jeevaratnam Ravi Kumar. He is the Vice President, Technology and Innovation, Lloyd's Register, Singapore. Ravi has been significantly engaged in digital innovation throughout his career, advising and supporting executive board on digital strategies, digital business transformation, instilling digital knowledge across the organization, defining digital platform architecture, conceptualizing and executing breakthrough innovation ideation. He now heads Lloyd's Register's Global Technology Center in Singapore, heading digital transformation and digital innovation, specially focused on leveraging latest trends in data science, machine learning, deep learning. He leads digital engagements with clients across Asia. Mr. Ravi Kumar, we welcome you. And I think, Amity has also started the programs in this new age technologies, machine learning, AI, data analytics. So we would love to hear from you, your thoughts on these technologies. Next, I would introduce Mr. Surendra Tiparaju, Director at Microsoft. Surendra is a technocrat in data and artificial intelligence at Microsoft, working on enabling AI, machine learning, and big data analytics. Presently, he's engaged with worldwide clients, delivering AI solutions in the areas of data platform, deep learning, and advanced AI architectures. He is an active volunteer with IEEE Society, contributing through mentoring in the technology forums. And his goal is to be a lifelong learner, lead to take challenges and inspire as many people as possible through technology in every possible scenario to enhance human condition. Mr. Surendra, I welcome you to this webinar, and we know that Microsoft is at the forefront of technology. We would love to hear your views on these emerging technologies. Next, I would like to introduce Ms. Poonam Vijay Thakkar, who's the industry speaker and expert marketing, digital content and analytics mentor of Change Niti Aayog. She is an award-winning marketing professional. Poonam joined global business conglomerate Aditya Birla Group's financial arm, Aditya Birla Capital, in 2013. As a marketing leader in the capacity of a business CMO, she led entire gamut of this portfolio for its 5 distinct line of businesses under the listed entity Aditya Birla Money Limited. It includes the first digital PFM business of ABCL My Universe, wealth management broking, real estate advisory, corporate treasury, and SME lending. She is an award-winning professional who has led strategies providing focused and operational leadership in unique, challenging situations with proven ability to quickly analyze key business drivers and develop productive marketing strategies. I welcome you, Ms. Poonam, and we have a lot of students from the marketing background who have joined us. They would be delighted to hear your thoughts today. Next, I would like to introduce Mr. Pranav Kumar, Senior Partner, Development Manager, APAC, Digital Experience, Adobe Systems. Pranav Kumar is a management consultant and corporate strategist with focus on digital transformation. He has 13 years of extensive experience and track record in leading number of assignments involving consulting, solution selling, partner management, strategic business initiatives, new business rollouts, and strategy implementations, assisting CXOs and business teams to tackle problems with the innovative use of processes and technology that drive revenue and create business value. I welcome you, Mr. Kumar. Adobe touches our lives in every manner, every day. We are glad to have you on this panel, and we listen to your thoughts as we progress. Next, I would introduce Mr. Gopalakrishna, Vice President, Digital Engineering, Cognizant. Gopalakrishnan, or Gopi as he is called, is a technology leader in digital engineering at Cognizant. He has over 26 years of all-round experience in business and technology leadership. He has rich experience in the field of business technology services, which comprises of cloud computing, intelligent process, automation, Internet of Things, and cognitive computing. He is a thought leader in digital transformation space, holds joint patent for a method and systems for providing a connected sales associate service application via a mobile device. Next, I would welcome you, Gopal Krishnan sir, on this panel. Next and the last, I would introduce Commander Manan Sinha, PMP, Vice President Technology, Manikaran Private Limited. Commander Sinha is an energetic, technical, passionate professional with 20 years plus experience presently in renewable energy sector domain, having vast experience in leadership, technology, operations and maintenance, project and program management, and contract and HR management. He is excellent communication skills for leadership, behavioral, and motivational mentoring. With over 2 decades of leadership, strategy, program management, and technical operations experience in the Indian Navy, multiple academic credentials like business administration certifications, IM and JBIMS, MTech in nuclear technology, PMP, Lean Six Sigma, Plug Green, and behavioral assessment specialization. I welcome you, Commander Manan Sinha, to this session. And I think it's going to be a great discussion. We're going to be talking about the latest technologies, AI, machine learning, renewable. We have been having so many webinars where they have talked that when it comes to innovation or disruptive innovations are not cannot be sustained. But I'm sure we are moving towards a world where we need disruptive innovation strategies, and we need it to sustain as well. So without further ado, I would request our Group Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Gurinder Singh sir, to please say the opening remarks and open this panel discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Bhatnagar, and a very warm welcome to our all esteemed speakers. I can see Ms. Poonam, Commander Sinha, Mr. Ravi Kumar, Mr. Surendra, Mr. Gopala Krishna, Mr. Parnav Kumar, our own Professor Bhavna Kumar, who is the Vice President, Professor Seema Sahai, who is a Professor of IT. We have got Professor Sharad Khatter. And Gopala Krishnaji, when I was talking to you, you said a very huge thing in the very beginning, that India is a IT hub of the whole world. There are few things in the life which you hate. There are few things in the life you love. But I think the IT, AI, and the technology is something, whether you love it, you hate it, it's a part of your life. My life has gone in interacting with the youngsters. I love them. I interact with them. Right? And when they get good placements, when they make a good career, I feel very happy for them. But I also remember that 27 years back, when I used to go in the class and used to write an equation, people used to look at me, what this gentleman is writing. So as a young teacher, I was writing and students were interacting with me. I used to love students. They used to interact, they used to ask questions, they used to say, sir, why this equation? Right? So pattern of teaching was very different. Today, when I go into the class, I see more computers. I look at these kids. They are somewhere hiding themselves behind their MacBooks. And not only MacBooks, they have iPhones, they have got iPads, so 3-4 devices in front of them. And when a professor is speaking, to me it seems that they're not talking to me. So they look very straight, like, okay, but if I'm giving some data, they're checking that, well, if he's saying 18%, is it 18% or is it 21%? So, Ms. Poonam, it's like Niti Ayog who's watching us. Right? Yes. Constantly, they are looking at it, that if a professor is coming, what he is speaking. And then this is a breed which is restless. They will like to put something on the Instagram, and then they will look at it, how many likes. So very different social behavior. They will put something on the Facebook, they want to see how many likes. They want to be on the LinkedIn. They're not concerned about that, how many friends they have. Right? But they would like to see that how many likes they have. They will count it after every 20 minutes. So sometimes I feel that they are stressed. And the other day I was mentoring someone. So I said that, why you are sad? And she said, I can't tell you, sir. So I said, well, I'm like your father. Tell me, what is the problem? He said, I put a post on Instagram, only 5 likes. She's upset because there are only 5 likes, right? So this is a new breed. And I said, how many friends you have got in your life, right? So she may not be having 5 friends, but she's expecting 500 likes. So this is a very different kind of class, different kind of businesses. I would say that if you look at businesses today, I think you know the data better, but 87% when people used to go themselves to book their tickets or they used to, today everything is on portal. The place where I live, I'm surrounded by the professionals. So I was just looking at in the breakfast, and you'll not believe it, that about 70% of the professionals even ordering their breakfast. So no cooking at home, right? People are just ordering. Breakfast is coming, taking breakfast, coming down. Earlier it used to be luxury cars. Now it's again a booking of the cars. So people have stopped buying cars. Right? They will simply book a car, a luxury car will come. So they are not loyal to now to their own possession of the property. So they will come in their rented car. They will go somewhere. So life has very totally changed. The charm of going to the markets has gone. People are becoming restless. Youngsters, they are asking for the things which we never thought that they will be asking. Lifestyle has changed. Decisions are being taken by AI. So many times I feel that what is AI? So I have got a very young daughter who's a software engineer. And the other day she came from US and I was sitting with her. So I said, what is AI? So she said, Papa, don't tell me that you don't know AI. So I said, no, I don't understand. You teach me. What is AI? Right? And she was giving me all kind of concepts. So I was saying that you tell me that when the coronavirus will go out of India. And she said, well, we did it, we did a study. And at that time she told me that it will go on May 28th. And she gave me the time also. So I said, are you sure that it will go? And she said that this is a permutation, this is a software which we have been able to develop. May 28th has gone. Right? So Singapore people, they were coming up with a software. US people, they came with a software. So AI is a great thing. But who is giving data to AI? So it's data-enabled decisions people are taking. Most of the time it's right. But there can be chances that data which you are giving is an incorrect data. So whether it's elections or it's publicity or it's making friends, booking of car, doing shopping, everything is based on data. So whether you love it or you hate it, it has entered into our families. It is not going to go. So if India needs to progress, if Asia needs to progress, if the world needs to progress, we need to understand it. And that is the reason that at Amity, we took a first step and we created new programs, new age technology programs, where we are offering AI, data analytics, machine learning to our all students. So whether they're studying management, so at Amity International Business School, what they have done in the management domain, we have got 8,000 students. All of them, they can pick up a course in AI along with the management program. So we are teaching marketing, but we are making AI, data analytics as tools to understand marketing. We're teaching finance, but then we are also telling them that how you will be able to take the financial decisions in the times to come. We don't know why markets are increasing. Maybe that our speaker from Niti will be able to tell us. The whole world is saying that production, consumption, and investment is a challenge. Right? Somehow market is going up. Right? So we don't know the correlation between it, but decision science is something which we need to work on, we need to understand. So as academicians, I think we have got wonderful team, all brilliant PhDs who have done their research work. But still, I think that students need to learn quite a lot from the industry, because you are the practitioners, you know that what is going to be the future of India. And if the students, they really need to become successful, They want to become successful entrepreneurs. And we need to create a Silicon Valley in India, in Bangalore, and in Noida, right, or anywhere, right, than what it needs to be. So we have taken this step, and thank you so much. As I was saying, that there are enough words, there are not enough words that we can thank you. You are the biggest social workers, I will say, because this time our students are really stressed. I love them, but I can't see them stressed. And you speak to them and they say that we don't know whether there will be jobs. We don't know where we'll be doing our internships. We don't know where to give presentations. I often tell them that there will be enough jobs. People will keep on eating. People will keep on investing. People will still need banks. People will still need the services. So don't worry. But I think that they need to speak to the industry. So by coming to this webinar, I think that you are helping hundreds of other students who are watching you live. And on behalf of Dr. Chauhan, who's our founder, and on behalf of our Chancellor, on my own behalf as a Group Vice Chancellor, and on behalf of our all Vice Chancellors, Deans, Vice Presidents, and 175,000 strong members of Amity family, we once again thank you. Over to you. I think it's going to be a wonderful panel discussion. Please take it forward, being the master of ceremony. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for those opening remarks. So as it is, the webinar is about business operational excellence and digital transformation through new age technologies. I think one of the basic questions that comes to everyone's mind is the moment automation kicks in, the moment everything is driven by data. There's a lot of the skills get upgraded, and there are people who are not skilled so much, specifically for a country like India. So do you really think that this automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning is something that is good for India, or does it have its own pros and cons? So I'll leave it open to anyone who wants to go in first.
Sure, I can go first. This is Gopi. I feel any of these opportunities is great for India, especially the younger population. India has probably one of the largest younger population when compared to the rest of the world, right? So because of that, and the universities like yours and many others across the country has transformed themselves into adopting to a new world of teaching, new world of technology, new world of deciphering 4 different economic sectors, right? So, and I would like to take this opportunity. If I may project 1 or 2 slides, is that okay? So that I can communicate the message?
Absolutely, please go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So, just a second. I hope you can see the.
Yes, we can.
Right. So the 4 sectors of economy, right? So the first sector, it is actually classified by Mr. Zalton. So what he says is that there are 4 sectors. The first sector is extracting from planet, right? It could be mining, it could be agriculture, anything to do with extracting. That is the first. That is also getting disrupted, and IT is being used there. The second one is production, manufacturing, right? So manufacturing would have a lot of IT adoption, right? I'm sure there will be hundreds of questions in the manufacturing space. Are we going to use IT? Are we going to use software, right? How does it help? So is digital transformation happening there? Answer is 100% yes, right? So that is the second. The third is the services sector, right? It could be banking, retail, hospitality, transport, all of that. The last one is the knowledge sector, which is education, technology, R&D, government, right? All of these, the good thing about in India is that in India, we are investing in all of these 4 sectors IT and digital transformation is happening in all of these sectors, which means enormous opportunity for Indian youngsters, right? Now, I would like to highlight those three key points which I wanted to bring to all of your notice. Is we have been hearing about software is eating the world, right? So just give you example, right? The next point says that FedEx is a software network, but it happened to have trucks, planes, and distribution hubs attached to it, right? So that is how industry experts articulate how the new age transformation which has happened in these kind of sectors too, right? Driverless cars has billions of lines of code. It's much more than the number of lines of code in our operating system, which we normally use in our laptop, desktop, and any other digital tools, right? Right, and you see all of this for last decade, software has ruled and entrenched into all these four sectors. Now, AI is going to rule the next decade. In fact, AI is trained to generate software by itself, right? So that makes, it is going to make a huge difference. And again, going back to your question, that this is an enormous opportunity for India and Indian students. So they should be happy and proud that we are in this age where digital, it is not disruption, but it's an opportunity for people to adapt to. And the sectors are enormous. So I will pause. Depending on the next type of questions, I can pose one or two other slides. I have just 4 slides to talk about, but just wanted to give great confidence to the student community who are listening here today, that what kind of opportunities come and where do they need to transform themselves and what do they need to look for in the industry. I'll take a pause now.
Fantastic. I think that was a good, good data points and good scenarios. Just want to highlight a few more things in that segment and in that line. Actually, no matter what, the world is flat with respect to opportunities and with respect to the disruptions. India is definitely emerging as one of the very powerful country, and in fact, it is placing a major role in every segment as such. And there is a famous quote saying that talent is everywhere, but opportunities are limited. Okay. I think these kind of connections actually create that opportunities for every talent to tap in. And reflecting on Professor Gurinder Singh, that how energetic is the young generation today. Actually, it's amazing actually when you work with them, the amount of consumption they can do per minute, if you put it in perspective, or per hour, compared to the generation where I was educated, is like humongous. And it is always like a kind of that basically brings a lot of energy to come in every day, and how we can tap that potential. Okay, that was one of the interesting like motivation to really seek that opportunities. In fact, if you take a little bit of outside in perspective with industry, I was following one of the McKinsey's reports. What they say is the kind of transformation that is happening with respect to digital transformation and adoption of AI. Any company, any institution as such, who basically embracing this change, okay, so their profitability and their kind of relevance to the market, almost profitability will be in like 120 to 150% of what is been today. But if the institution which is basically following this trend and don't do anything, they are just kind of just like riding the riding the hype and not taking any steps, then probably their survival rate will be around like 5 to 10%. But if somebody is ignoring this wave completely, their survival in next 5 to 7 years is really questionable. Actually, they may not exist. And we have seen this trend come and go in many areas. If you look at like 1970s, the companies which are there, hardly you can name them which are existing today. And when you see those kind of projections, one might ask what industry or what specific segments that's going to impact it. It is interesting to basically reflect that in that article, what they're saying is literally every industry, be it travel, automobile, healthcare, pharmacy, public sector, telecommunication, every industry is going to get impacted in some or other way. Some might start in the beginning, some might like mature in later. So literally the projection goes saying that like in 5 to 7 years, 80% of the companies worldwide will have complete end-to-end business process running using AI. Complete business process. Okay. In fact, this report came out around January, and I was actually challenging that, saying that the kind of disruption which we saw in COVID and the amount of innovation that happened in last 2 3 months, it is not even like 5 to 7 years, but it could be like 3 to 5 years. Okay, much earlier than what could be predicted. So it is a great opportunity for India to lead the role. If you look at like 90s, we led the game with kind of economic factor, where coming to India and getting work done is cheaper. But off late, if you see last 5 years, there's tremendous transformation of entrepreneurial culture. A lot of startup culture has been induced into the industry, and whole academia and industry are working together. It's a great opportunity for every student to embrace this change and like be prepared for themselves while as they step out of their academic career to professional career.
I would like to add to the point that I think you mentioned COVID is, accelerating the innovation. So I also like to share a screen with one slide especially for students. Can you see my screen? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. So basically, once Steve Jobs said that people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the one who do. So we need to be crazy enough to think we can change the world. I think that's what the digital transformation is doing for everyone. So what I would like to convey to the students who are listening on this webinar is that I just put everything in a quadrant. Ask a lot of questions. What is the problem statement? Ask a question. What is the problem? And just identify the problems, and then find a solution for the problem. And ask yourself, what is the proposed solution? How is it going to solve this particular problem? And importantly, how the solution is going to add value, to the industry for which you are addressing this solution. That's very important. If a problem and solution without a value addition, without making any return on investment, it's going to be wasted. It's very important to ask questions. Then how do you really execute? So that's very important. I'm not really going to go into in detail because of the timing. And it's very important for everyone here, the youngsters, ask questions. What's the problem? What's the solution? What's the value proposition? What's the value I'm adding to that? And how do I execute? That's very important. If you do that, I think for India, especially, like we need to transform from IT, what we call IT is information technology. Again, IT, we need to transform information technology to innovation technology. We need to really innovate, and we need to come out with the brands. If you look at China, even though like we are having a big tiff with China, but if you look at China, China is almost 6 times more than our GDP. And within 3 decades. So why we are not able to, catch up with that? So if we really reach that, $15 trillion GDP, now we are looking at 5 trillion. Our Prime Minister said, Indian Prime Minister said 5 trillion. So it's very important to ask these questions, innovate, be crazy enough to think, change the world. So that's what it is. That's my, message. Thank you.
Great. So, Ravi, are you done?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Great. So, before I talk about the topic and the AIs and the blockchains of the world, I want to speak right now, Professor Singh, on behalf of all the Amity students. The generation before us wanted us to be agile. Each and every student will agree with me, their fathers wanted them fast karo, jaldi karo, right? And here you said that all the students are so agile, they are managing four gadgets in front of you. So I give a big green tick to them. That's the agility we want in the digital world. Then you talked about the second example that you took. That is also very close to my heart because I keep talking about it, right? And that is how you are able to cope up with the change. Change management is a skill that comes, as we all know, with a lot of experience because you need to go through the highs and lows in the life to understand how change is adopted, how change is embraced, and how you come out of that change to consistently perform. Ultimately, in an organization, when all your students join, everybody would want them to be performers, right? And here we are talking about students who are so much about performance. Because if the post has gone and if the likes have not come, what does that mean? The post performance is low. So just imagine that we are constantly trying to breed a community of young people who are performance centric. They would go back, the student that you mentioned would actually go back and think that why I did not get likes? What was the miss? He's going to make it better next time. So from a customer point of view and business excellence point of view, I think the world is moving on to a digital disruptive world or embracing the change because everything is going to be very fast and everything has already become fast. And thanks to COVID, you'll have a lot of very less people thanking COVID. I think what Surinder also mentioned, COVID has preponed everything that we are trying to postpone. I still know a lot of people with this solid love for Excel sheets. And I had to sit across and mention that, you know what? Okay, you have been a champion of Excel sheet. It's time to move on to platforms because redundant, repetitive jobs can be done by simple methods like AI, right? So I just picked up from what you mentioned. So I think give a big round of applause to all the students who are listening to this webinar that you're exactly what today's world is looking for in terms of capabilities and in terms of the right mindset, growth mindset. From the digital disruption point of view and giving my thoughts on the topic of business excellence. As a part of Niti Aayog also, and just managing a profile of a mentor of change, I think more than industries or more than the enterprises, the government is very robust and government is thinking about how to integrate the interactions between clients, businesses and the government. And that transparency will conclude to something which is called as the blockchain technology. And I'm really, really looking forward to how India as a country will embrace that, though there are a lot of deep discussions happening abroad. But our government is taking the right steps to ensure. And the first step we have seen that we in Aadhaar card is what? Aadhaar card has 1.2 billion database of people. That's the largest database of people, and that has come from India. So that gives us the confidence that we are moving in the right direction. Now the challenge here, the challenge is when Manthan happens, the disruption is going, that disruption is going to kill a lot of people and shine and put the shine that is needed a lot of people. It's like you are into a mine and you are, clearing the diamonds out. How do you excel to become a diamond in this kind of a challenging environment is by understanding one simple thing. And I have also written some articles on it, which is simple logic of survival of the fittest. What happened to dinosaurs? They could not fit in. So this is the time to understand what you need. I have been on earth myself for 40 plus years. On public platform, I'm telling you. And in 40 years, I've only heard about MBA specialization. I heard about MBBS. Okay, now you become MD. I heard about engineering. Then people started talking about IITians. This is the first time world is talking about, ye sab theek hai. Now let's talk about what specialization can you have much more than this. What is it that you can pick up as your niche? The social media, it's an adventurous field because personally for my own businesses also that I lead, I don't have a ready-made resource. Somebody who can come and say, Poonam, don't worry, I know all of this. We are looking at people with the mindset who will come and say, okay, I'm agreeing to learn, I'm ready to learn, give me the skill set. And I think this pause was so much needed because we all were as professionals extremely stressed. I want to tell all your students out there, maybe you're stressed about your job, but as professionals, you're so stressed, how to cope up with the change? Because constantly in organizations, while the change is happening, you are trying to consistently deliver results and revenues. And so this is a double job. This is a double job, right? So this pause for businesses was needed to just go back, take a step back and get into the thinking pad, start writing things that you always wanted to do. What technology is going to work? See, there is plethora of technology around in the world, but what will work for you? And most of the companies today, I'm sure you would be asking that question, and that's my favorite question. Why are we not able to onboard to new technologies? Because everybody is on your mark position right now, you know, waiting for another organization to prove that it is working, because any technological disruption needs a lot of investment by the company. So that's how I want to begin. Thank you.
Great thoughts.
Thank you, Poonam. Just wanted to add on top of you what you said about the youth being prepared for the new generation. So sometime back when I was in college doing my MBA, so one of my marketing prof taught me about Philip Kotler. So Philip Kotler had coined a term, the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps of marketing used to be product, price, place, and promotion. Correct me if I'm mistaken.
You're right.
So that used to be the marketing for me. But in today's context, if I have to apply that 10 years going ahead, so it has changed from the 4 Ps to the 4 Cs. So the 4 Cs stands for the customer centricity at the top, and then everything around that. So what's around that? It's about how can I ensure that different channels which are coming in. Earlier it used to be just the website or the stores. Now there is a iPhone, there is a mobile devices which are there, smartwatches, IoT devices. So how can I be in touch with my customer across these touch points? How can I deliver something which is personalized, contextualized? So all that is existing. So whatever the concept, the very concept that we learn in college is there, and that's being transformed into, we need to have a newer look. We need to have the same concepts being looked with a newer light. So I think our generation is much more agile. The millennials are much more advanced. So they have, they want things on the fly. They want things to be faster and better. So you rightly pointed that. And yeah, I'm sure the team here is getting geared up and they will be out soon.
Sure.
Thank you. I think that this was great start. And if both of you permit me to ask a question, because I'm really tempted on looking at the kind of remarks which are coming in. So I think that one of the most important things which you are saying, that the time is changing and students, they should not worry about it. I think long time back, we as a university, we did a study, and there's a scholar who's sitting here, Professor Bhavna Kumar and myself. We started working on that. What is going to be the universities of the future? Hello.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Yeah.
So we did a study where we worked on that how the universities of the futures will look like. And at that point of time, I think it was 15 years back, we thought that maybe that the universities of future will be virtual universities. And we remember that we implemented a concept of virtual learning in Africa. So this was a very powerful project, which was Pan-African E-Network project, through which we educated African students. This was a dream project of our ex-president, Dr. Kalam. He wanted to impart free education in Africa. And the European Union at that time was having questions that the internet was a challenge and how the youngsters in Africa, they will cope with the challenge. But once we started implementing, we thought that the youngsters were able to adjust. Today, when we look at the industry and we look at the jobs, I think one of the perception which is coming in, and especially in the Silicon Valley, when we speak to the people, and in UK and in Australia and in Germany, who are actually advocating skill-based education, they are saying that in the times to come, industry will only look at skills. So they may not be looking at the degrees, but they will be looking at the skills. Whereas even 2 years back, if we look at, and even now, if we look at, most of the brilliant students, they will like to study in some of the most premium universities of the world, will like to do full-time course. So do you think that there's a shift? Because all of you, you are the captains of the industry, yourself, you are very, very successful, leading very great organizations. So skills versus degrees, where you feel the industry is going in. will you like to take a candidate who may not be a product of Harvard or MIT or Amity, but has got a diploma, but has got the skills and can give business? Or you will still look at a person who's technically very sound, who's a great engineer, who has studied at MIT, Stanford, LSE, or at Amity. So what is your preference? Do you think that skill-based education is going to be the buzzword in the times to come? Or is it still going to be the traditional university degree, which will have more relevance? Over to you.
I will turn it around back to you because I'm talking on behalf of your students today. And I would say degrees are important because, again, the change management, the preparation of your mind, your mindset, the depth that is needed to be actually be able to come in the practical world and deliver needs that kind of preparation in the mind. But universities and educational institutes will have to completely transform into being able to not just impart degrees, but real-time virtual skill set, project-based, and probably creating atmosphere that understands the realities of the professional world and not just hunky-dory look, start with a 20 lakh package and you're out. I think that mindset has to change, and universities will have to do a lot of hard work, I would say.
Thank you.
I would say knowledge and competence. These are two different things. I think if you mix all of the two and say that, yeah, if a person is competent of doing something, they need to be knowledgeable, having the deeper knowledge in that area as well. In that area and probably adjacent area, right? So it is not the mere word degree, but an individual who's going to gain knowledge over a period of time, which is fundamental in nature. On top of that, an individual will build competence in a specific area, will be useful in the industry, right? That is one key part which I want to highlight. The other thing is, unlike when I grew up and then when I got into the industry, we were all actually molded. So either it has to be engineering, or it has to be law degree, or it has to be medicine. Very few, right? Today, for our students, whatever problem they are ready to solve, that is going to be the opportunity for them. And they can create that as an opportunity for themselves and for many, right? So people now, after getting this knowledge and competence, need to start getting these questions, as Ravi mentioned, start asking yourself questions, right? What kind of problem can I solve? What challenges can I address, right? That can potentially become an opportunity for earning money too, right? And creating many more jobs for people, right? That's how all the startup will stem from, right? So just to answer in Chris, we have to have knowledge and competence. These two have to come together. It's not just skill-based, not just knowledge-based. It has to be together.
Yeah. So I would like to add to that point that I think what we need is that degree that instills skills in the person, actually. Okay. But as far as you asked the question that whether anyone need a degree or not, technology companies like Google already declared that they are not looking for a degree. Okay. So that means degree doesn't have a value, but the degree that brings value to that organization. So that's what needed actually. So bring value with your degree. The degree doesn't matter actually, because you need to have this, suppose digital skills. If you have the digital skills on top of your degree, that's what's going to matter, nothing else.
I can give some insights with respect to how we are trying to recruit millennials within Microsoft. So here, very interesting and very deep question, Mr. Singh. The reason I'm saying that is like why we were preferring people from like reputed universities. If you really ponder on that question, basically that kind of environment and those universities used to provide the infrastructure and the resources for them to come to certain baseline and certain threshold of the skill set to the table. But if you just fast forward now, that availability of the knowledge, availability of the resources if anybody can say, sitting in here in India can approach an MIT professor and take a course and then upgrade himself. Okay, so actually that kind of availability and the reach of the student has increased today. So now what's happening is when we actually meet a student, of course, a student coming from a very reputed university like ISBs, IIMs, or from Harvard, definitely they will cut some uh, queue and then fast forward. But when you actually land on a table, what happens is it is not just degree that's going to determine. It is about your learning attitude, learning passion, and what you have done with all the resources that has been made available to you. So let me give you kind of a composition of my team members. I have a guy who has done postdoc in machine learning from Harvard. He's a data scientist, very senior data scientist. I have a guy who has done distance learning from Indira Gandhi Open University on BCom, and he has cracked the Kaggle competition, and he is one of the leading data scientists on the same team. Okay, and both challenge each other in very competitive way. Okay, so what brings each one with respect to the resources that has been made available, that determines the fitment into how they perform and how they really shape their career. So it is very, I mean, it is becoming more and more individual centric than a brand driven. Okay, so that's how it is changing landscape. So I basically, when I talk to students, I say, definitely students would have seen Terminator movie and Iron Man movie. So in Terminator, actually, if you see that character, the machine and person has been separated. Okay, so people end up fighting machines. But in Iron Man, both the machine and man are in the same machine. Okay, and they are fighting the common enemy. So choose which one you want to be. Generally, Terminator is just a fictional. Iron Man is a more relevant example. Actually. Okay.
Thank you.
And if I can add here, sir, which is also a probe for a question to all the panelists. I have been teaching in Amity for the last 17 years. When I entered into teaching from corporate, the subject that I was given was leveraging information technology in business. So 17 years back, that is because I happened to be an engineer by graduation. 17 years back, when I started taking the subject, it was a very obvious choice because having done engineering, sir was my mentor at that time. He said, you should take leveraging IT. At that point, I'm talking about 17 years back, it was actually an optional subject. You took leveraging IT in business. Now it seems to have become the reverse. It's actually business driving IT, etc. But having said that, I have a very strong view about the fact that students today seem to be driven crazy by the buzzwords of AI and ML and coding, etc. And the depth which all of you have also mentioned in brief, but I want you to pass this message to the student. Not everybody can be coders or AIs and MLs. You have to understand the basics. There will be somebody, even if it is a machine, who will be building roads in the future. The knowledge of civil engineering is as important as computer science engineering. Why is the demand for only computer science? And computer science also people look at only joining the coding people. There is going to be a bigger need for people who are better in their respective subjects. Because any process, we're talking about organizational excellence, we're talking about business transformations. If you are not understanding the business and the process, how will you be able to implement technology on top of that? And somewhere this generation seems to be driven by this buzzword that only, and maybe somewhere the industry also, because the jobs are paying to all people who are able to write AIs, including 17-year-old who are willing challenges in schools. And just today's news carried on as how he's written a complete app, but without understanding the basic science. Yesterday in a panel, we had a teacher who said maybe the basics of physics and chemistry should be demolished and we should only be teaching science, but that's not going to solve. According to me, there has to be an equal balance, and the understanding of the core aspects of business is possibly even more important than ever today than before. Otherwise, why is it that digital transformations have been failing to the extent of 70%? We only come to know about the 2-3 who have been able to get the business transformation right. What about the 70% who have failed?
Fantastic point, Bhavana ma'am. Actually, the thing I would say is, yes, there is a lot of hype and a lot of institutions are carrying the market on that hype. But actually, the academicians and some of this mentorship is most key. Have to step back and put some method to these matters. So every domain is the core piece for any transformation. Technology, which is AI today, is only an augmenting tool. So actually, just to keep it very crisp, what I would, when I talk to students and professionals, I would say, machines are not going to replace your jobs. It is the people who embrace AI is going to replace people who don't embrace AI. So that's the perspective one has to bring in. So once that sets in, I think people will excel in their domain and leverage technology to excel in that space.
I think, sir.
What Professor Bhavna said is, see, subject matter is very, very important. Actually. Without subject matter, you can't build AI. I think Professor Gurinder Singh said that May 28th was predicted with artificial intelligence. The subject matter was not really, perfected there. That's why you cannot really predict. So it's very, very important to have the subject matter. Suppose now we are in the shipping industry in offshore. So without knowing the offshore drilling, I can't write a deep learning or machine learning algorithm to maintain remotely of offshore drilling, the assets. So it's extremely important to understand what the asset is, whether it's a road or it's a transport or airplane or whatever it is. Without knowing that, no one can write an algorithm to control that. So we need to have a deep understanding of that asset which we would like to control. Then from that learning, then we can teach the machine to understand. So what are the machine learning algorithm we have done in my team is that we feed the machine of 5 years of whatever learned with asset maintenance. So we want to be a predictive maintenance, right? So if we really want to predict a machine, whether it's going to be down in next 2 days or 3 days or 4 days, so we need enough historical record of how the machine have been behaving in the past. Along with that, we need to add other, specifications, and then we can write an algorithm. So without knowing the behavior of subject or whether it's a machine or human, so we can't write an algorithm. AI will fail there.
I'll add in here, Ravi.
I'd like to build up on that.
This is interesting.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so this brings me to a very important point of when we were also going through, and still Ms. Bhavna has pointed she's been pointed a very solid point here that everybody really needs to understand. Digital transformation is not a fancy word that somebody will put money on the table and your organization will be transformed. It's not going to happen because organizations are built by human beings. There are people around, and people need adoption of new things to come at a certain pace and time. The new generation of the students who are going to be getting into organization need to have a growth mindset from the point of view that they must be very agile to learn. That's all. The existing lot probably will have a little, they'll have their niche, and they'll have a little, there is a little friction when it comes to adoption of learning new. Because somebody would say, damn, it's been 25 years, I've been specialist in this, and now I have to learn something new. So the good news here for all the students is, since there is, I don't think there is any organization or any industry or any enterprise that is not talking about digital transformation. It has to happen. As Surinder also mentioned that, and I buy in that point, because one of the McKinsey reports also said that the median age of industries has dropped from 60 years. Usually in the past, an organization will last for 60 years and then probably not work, survive, not survive, thrive. It has come down to 22 years now. And here, if you look at the startup story, there are thousands of startups that will start, but sustainability and thriving are two different strong points here. So from students' point of view, and I have also mentioned about the world gradually is changing from being master of one to little bit jack of all. So all we are saying is everybody today, all the specialists, there is a parity in terms of from where we will take the leap of faith and move ahead. So everybody, all the organizations, all the departments will have to embrace something that is working with machines, coexisting with machines, understanding how to perform with machines and not compete, because machines don't have common sense. I'm sorry. Machines don't have common sense. We, as human beings, have cognitive skills to build common sense and be able to learn fast. So there is no threat of machines, but as rightly pointed out by Surinder also, we must know how to learn along with machines and be faster than them and be able to manage them, because ultimately managers and supervisors have to be human beings. Maybe the execution part will be left with machines in future to come.
I think so. Good evening to everybody. I think I'll just give a little bit of a submission over here. First of all, I must put it on records that Amity is really doing a very appreciative role by introducing certain faculties, which brings in these new technologies being introduced to all our young minds who are actually the future generation of India. Coming from a role from the defense side for around more than 2 decades, we were always told that the hardwired and the PLCs, which actually lower the control rods, which are the poison rods for the nuclear reactor in micro mm, they cannot be replaced by AI. They cannot be replaced by the what you call these very intelligent solutions. They have to run on 3 channels. They have to have the redundancy because of the safety issues. And then we saw something like Mahendra Singh Dhoni, like without even turning around, he can have a clear-cut aim on the any of the wickets and get the bails dislodged and get a run out executed with expertise and sleekness of somebody who's a complete demo. In a 4G term, we call it a demonstration. It's a 4G term, a complete demo. Now, coming on to all that with the inception of the technology, I would rather like to say the way I think Surinder sir has brought out, and I think Poonam ma'am also brought out very well, Ravi sir also, and all the panelists. All our young minds, they have to be very, very clear with respect to their attitude. The attitude matters. The skill, the knowledge, most certainly they are there, but the attitude does matter. And you have to come out from your comfort zone in order to identify which is that area of domain which will make you differentiated from others. Now, when I look into the renewable energy, trying to just transfer us from defense to the renewable, we realize that a knowledge level inside the data prevalent in the soil moisture or the cloud motion vector or the satellite pixels, which is giving some information regarding the aerosol movement, the air quality index. Now, for illustration, just to get the enthusiasm in our young minds going, we had got this cyclone Amphan coming very, very fast to us. IMD has been extremely accurate with respect to all its prediction. And I think I was there posted in Visakhapatnam when we were hit with this Hudhud cyclone. And we were residing on top of a mountain called Dolphin Hills in Visakhapatnam. And it was bang on. And here we see Amphan, it had got 2 trajectories. One trajectory was moving just the way it actually moved over Kolkata and the way it moved. The other trajectory was moving it straight towards Bangladesh. Now, what made it move the other way? And what made IMD realize to make the correct prediction where it actually moved in roads into those parts of India, which were the eastern part of the eastern coast of Odisha, and then moved inside and reefed inside towards Kolkata. It was nothing but the air quality index. The movement of those aerosols were not taken care. And we had a COVID situation, the pollution level had gone down, and this was a criteria which was decided by these esteemed scientists sitting in IMD with what? The arms of data. So what I would like to just give an illustration with to our young minds is that this world is enough, filled with a lot of data. You have to get that information out. Now, I've got certain 1 or 2 slides I can, if sir permits, I can show it to them. So may I, sir?
Sure, sure.
Thanks, sir. Sorry, just one second. Is the screen visible, sir?
Yep.
Or is it the thank you slide still coming, sir?
It's the thank you slide which is coming.
I could sense that. Just one sec, sir. Let me just correct.
Got it.
Is screen visible now, sir?
Yes.
I'm so sorry, sir. My sincere apologies to the entire, all our viewers and the panelists for this technical glitch at my end. Now, if you can actually see, this finger points to us. All the excellence has to be generated from the person himself or herself. Now, the requirements which are presently available in the renewable energy is with respect to all our assets being controlled, being optimized for its operational efficiency, for its one truth for all transparency. A lot of multi-make and multi-technology, a lot of vintage technologies are all available. So that capability has to come in. I'm just trying to give out the requirements, which has got lots of data which is available. A real-time sync, some drag and drop approach to understand the data and get the intelligence out, and most certainly the unlimited scalability. Now, if we actually see, where does the gap play in the field of energy? We've got something which is called a gap, which is a power-rich state and a power-deficient state. So all that gets into something like surplus, balance, or deficit. Now, either somebody wants to sell it to the states which are actually requiring it. Some contracts need to be replaced with some more intelligent contracts which optimizes the solution. And sometimes you have to procure when you are actually deficient. So all these things which happen generally in the AI part, which we call, is all happening somewhere on this side where my cursor goes, which is that the type of data which we select and the type of models which we move on with. But with respect to gathering the information, the area of interest, all that pre-processing, all that the type of gridding and all that thing which has to be done, they are actually taking a lot of time. So what do? We require people to understand and move them fast, having their knowledge, having their skill set, and get that attitude going so as to focus on something which the corporate desires. The desire is on the left, which is the focus on the candidate with the right attitude, right knowledge, right skill set. And the focus of the academic institution is to focus on knowledge and the skill enhancement. So the word attitude is the first step, which I probably feel makes a difference and gets all our youngsters not to become managers, but to come out as leaders. We are in the need of a generation which requires leaders. Leaders to adopt the new technologies, have the reliability going, have the trust going on them, support the government, move them in, and most importantly, you must know that are we really having that insight into us? Do we require certain development needs? Is there some inherent strength which needs to come out? Just like Lord Hanuman, a story which was told to him and he got that power back inside him. So something of that sort has to move in, and the profile compatibility needs to be checked with respect to maybe a psychometric assessment, which probably helps you through and finds your intelligence going. And yes, the most importantly, the person of our generation and the future generation has to be emotionally intelligent. The triggers needs to be controlled. The enthusiasm and the empathy and the adaptability, everything needs to be really well controlled. So I think that's the take from my side, sir. My personal take is our guys are good and we can take it forward from anywhere. Only thing is we need to be really clear as with respect to our specific interest. Data is all around. We need to convert them into information and valuable information. Sir.
Wonderful. I would like to add just one point, which through my experience, I have derived a formula, which I love to share wherever I go and speak in this kind of podium, right? So we talk about, Ms. Bhavna mentioned about, should we just talk about only coding, only technology and not do anything else? And then my fellow panelists also spoke many things about the various other aspects coming into play. It's not just about this, and we need to have depth. So we have heard about the T-shaped knowledge. We heard about pie-shaped knowledge. Some people started talking about we need to have pie-shaped knowledge. But I would like to address one key point, and I would like to show a particular slide which illustrates this, what I'm going to say. This formula of E is equal to MC square. This is universally known formula. Everybody knows about it. Digital transformation, whatever we are talking about, is to provide better experience, right? So whatever data we are getting, whatever omni-channel experience we are trying to get, the gadgets our students are using today, all of them are expecting only one thing: can I get better experience out of whatever I use, right? And that is supported by various methodologies, machines, right, techniques. And these methodologies are not technical methodologies. It could be a chemical composition, or it could be a medical formula, or it could be a mathematical formula, or it could be aeroscience formula, anything of that sort, right? And coding is inevitable, whether we like it or not, it has to happen. You have to have some kind of instruction to be given to machines to behave the way you want it to behave. That's all coding does. It doesn't have any other knowledge behind it, right? And these are all common to everybody. And how student can make a difference is creativity. That is my second C, right? So you have to inculcate creativity, and that is the only thing which will differentiate. We can have AI, right? We can have any other learning. It is as good as the data you feed, right? But the creativity individual has, machine has not learned it so far. No AI system has creativity so far, right? That is there in the individual, right? And somebody asked me, how do I, okay, that is great, but how do I inculcate creativity, right? What do I need to do, right? And then there is this Michigan University did a research of 100 years of data taken on all the Nobel laureates in the science field, right? They wanted to see why those people got Nobel while there were other contemporary scientists. They also had similar knowledge. Either it could be T-shaped knowledge or an I knowledge or pi knowledge, whatever it is, right? So they also had an equivalent, but how did these people got Nobel and why the others didn't, right? They came out with this table, which I'm presenting today, that you need to inculcate a parallel skill, right? It could be music, it could be art, it could be craft, it could be writing, right? Or it could be performing art, amateur art, right? And that has the ability. So this is a proven research of 100 years of data taken by Michigan University. And this is applicable to all of us, right? And it is easy for us if we have more than one other parallel skill, it is easy for them to connect dots much faster than the others. And that has been the difference for people who have got Nobel versus the contemporary scientists. This is not just, of course, this research is for the science area, but this is applicable anywhere else, right? So I strongly urge our student community here who's listening to not just focus on a specific course, but to diversify themselves by learning a parallel skill, right? Which will make them very good in the profession which they are, wherever they are going to go. So E is equal to MC square is an easy formula to remember. And this is my giveaway to our students from the experience which I have gained so far.
I love it. I love it, Gopal Krishna, the way you put the relativity to the students.
Interesting.
Thank you. Thank you. So, for all the students, I wanted to just give you, Commander Manan Sinha, right? He spoke about the importance of the data and how the weather forecast has been impacting us. And Gopal Krishna has basically set the right context in terms of the complexity of relativity, how it can be translated to creativity. Okay, great. So I wanted to give for all the students a simple toolkit, which is basically in 7 steps you can be an AI expert. Just 7 steps. Okay. Let me quickly share a slide if I permitted. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So great points. I got so kind of a time travel with both the talks in the previous segment where they were talking about data and talking about creativity. I've been pondering on this with various customer interactions from last many years, and then what I figured it out is the industry somehow, or even some of the institutions, are basically riding on that hype, and they're not putting a structured way where somebody can pick up the clues and start progressing towards it. And I started making some notes around it, how we can really put that into a structure, how to bring some method to the madness. And somehow it laid out that in like kind of 7 steps, one can organically grow and engineer the intelligence, engineer the creativity. And that happens to fall in 7 steps. I don't know, 6 steps seems to be less, 8 steps seems to be over-engineered, 7 steps seems to fit the whole equation. So what are those 7 steps is basically data is the key. Okay, so data is everywhere, data is the key. So every institution, as an individual, as an enterprise, an organization has to set themselves. Basically, data is the core piece, and data is the new oil, data is the new gold for us. So set that mission, data as a mission, as a first step. And once you set mentally that data is going to be the richest asset which we're going to thrive upon, then start building the data platform. Whether you are taking image data, weather data, or language data, or a document data, just start thinking about how do you really manage that kind of amount of data. So building the data platform is kind of a second step. And each of these steps, once you follow, right, there is a celebration you can make it. Like once you start building a data platform which can handle this hybrid formats of data, you can celebrate the skill set which you can showcase to the industry. And there are unlimited opportunities how to get the data and how to manage it. And once you build the data platform, understanding the data about the data, what does the data represent, what patterns you see within the data, all that aspects is basically the tagging of the data. And then enable search between these volumes. Now you have this hybrid structure. You have an image, you have some voice files, you have weather information, you have sensor information, you have documents that are being scanned and stored. So enabling search across these multiple entities is going to be one of the very powerful tool. And you can start investigating how do you enable search and make sense out of this data which you have secured. And once you do that, then you start building the brain, which is basically looking at the patterns and making the predictions, which is basically the analytics, the step 5. And once you do the analytics, where it happens is what happened with respect to pattern, what will happen in future. These are the 2 correlations you can make. And once you do that, it is not like you have reached the goal. That's where you can go back to your domain, be it a civil engineering, electrical engineering, any nuclear engineering, anyway. Relate that back to your domain, how the things will impact. If COVID has impacted a certain society or certain community, which are the essential items that has to be provided to the people? Which are the hospitals around that has to be equipped? Who are the doctors who can do telemedicine? So these are all the relations that's going to come into picture. If you model that, that is a real graph. So you are basically moving away from traditional database systems to a graph database. You are finding the relations between them. And once you do that, you can start consuming that, be it a mobile application or web application. So that's like basically putting an easy handle to consume all that information which you secured. So you can actually go from step by step and model and engineering this creativity to shape your career in your academic institution itself. And in fact, this is the steps which I've been like discussing, debating with a lot of colleagues, and I just like captured all of them into a book which is published recently, 7 Sense AI. So it's kind of a design book which basically take you to all these steps with the concept of three things: understand the concept, apply to the context, and start creating using your creativity. Okay, over to you, to the panel. Thank you.
Excellent.
Surrender,
So
sir,
it is
you pointed out
extremely
the
interesting. And let me try to put a little marketing insight onto the 7 Sense that you mentioned. And I'll plug in the formula of DTC here, which is picking from your 7th sense, you move on to the 8th, if you may want to call it 8th or 9th. But DTC is data digital mindset for any organization, because in analytics, it is all about garbage in, garbage out, gold in, gold out. It's all about the science of the right, asking the right question and putting the right algos to get the right answer. So from that perspective, the D here is data and digital, which is the oil or the gold for organizations today. Putting it into the structure of digital transformation, which stands for the T. T is technological stack, the stack that will plug into your data to churn out the right information. And the third part and the most important part, which is the first step of digital transformation, is asking and understanding where will you put it. What do we do when we have earned money? We want a bank locker. Similarly, when you have right data and right information, you need to put it in the right cloud. So gone are the days when we used to discuss and negotiate cheap cloud, good cost cloud, easy integration. It has moved to secure cloud. So from data, digital, to finding the right tech stack, to moving to the right cloud. I think that completes the entire journey of 7. That's beautiful. I'm going to refer to your 7 senses that you mentioned right now. And I think that's the key takeaway for students also from an organization point of view.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Great points.
Are there any questions on the chat window? I was just like reading a couple of them. Probably good one to catch up with students.
Number of questions, but then I think that our 4 professors who are on this panel, they had taken the questions from our all campuses. So maybe that if they can also ask their questions, that would be great. And then we can take the questions from chat.
Can I, sir? Thank you so much. Can I?
Yeah, please.
Thank you. Good evening once again to everyone, and it was really a very engrossing session, wonderful session, and I'm sure the students would have taken a lot of points from this discussion. I just want to slightly digress this talk which has been happening is, our topic is business operational excellence through new age technologies. If I may be permitted to give you certain statistics on MSMEs, which probably says that, it holds 45% of total employment, 50% of total exports, 95% of total industrial units. Now, a lot of our students are from a family background which own businesses, right? So in fact, in yesterday's class, they were very excited about today's lecture. So I just asked them, a simple question that when you go back to after finishing your course, what should be your aim? Aim is very simple: to further the business to the next higher level, right? And we all know to do this, you have to have the adaptation of technology, right? Unfortunately, the adaptation of technology as far as MSMEs are concerned, I wouldn't say it is poor, but it is not to the desired level. A simple thing like IT, again, some paper of stats said that only 34% of the MSMEs have been able to use IT as an interaction tool, and 7% as a SaaS, service as a software as a service. So I really want to know from you that with these statistics, right, how do we go to the next level? How do you build up a 5 trillion economy? First question. And secondly, of course, we are talking about new age technologies. All these technologies are complementary to each other, whether it is robotics, whether it is blockchain, cloud computing, augmented reality, virtual reality. But what are those one or two technologies which really would take, which really has an upper hand over the other? Thank you.
I can quickly answer both of your questions in just nutshell, one-liners. The first question that you asked, I think it's a very important question from a MSME point of view. And leaving behind the small businesses or medium businesses, even this is the problem with large businesses today, that all the data that we have is in an unstructured format. Most of the data has been filled in by people, by human beings over the period of years, and it is in an unstructured format. So as a use case, the problem that happens with unstructured data is that I may be having a service that I avail from one organization in one of the businesses. I am referred as Poonam Vijay Thakkar in some other business because the data entering system was different. I may be referred as Thakkar Poonam, or in some other business, though all of these businesses are part of one single organization, but I am referred as 4 or 3 because of difference in my name as different customers. So what happens here is the system or the organization will not be able to give the right benefit to me as a customer because I will be treated as 4 different customers in one organization. Now, the data science or the problem of large businesses is to bring parity to this, that I as one single unit or a customer must be treated in all the organizations same. And that is only possible when you have a master blueprint in terms of designing your data architecture. So the moment you have your data architecture, that's the first step. You have your data science right. You have your data, where you're storing your data language right, the master blueprint that can put all the data of your customers into one master file. That's how we begin, or we get onto the journey of understanding analytics. As I said, if your data structure is not right, it's not going to give any result to you. So from a small or medium business kind of organizations, the first step that probably they will have to look at is understanding from what are the sources they're getting their data from. And if that sources can be put on from unstructured data formats to structured data formats. That's the first answer. And that is what large organizations are also currently doing. The second question that you asked, I'm sorry, I've missed your second question.
No. Second question was that like all these new age technologies are complementary,
yes.
Whether you speak about robotics or whatever, but which are those 1 or 2 technologies which would really take, which will make sure the others take a back seat. And these are instrumental in taking the MSMEs to the next high level.
To the next level. So I'll talk from the entire country perspective. So usually when we talk about technologies, we try to bunch AI and robotics and automation and machine learning and blockchain all put together. The simple difference between any other technology and the blockchain is that AI or machine learning or any other fancy new age technologies will only help you bring newer experiences or launch newer service for your customers. Whereas the power of blockchain is that it can actually come onto your existing processes from a business process excellence point of view and can give you more results, effectiveness into your current processes. So hence, organizations will look at something like success coming through blockchain because it can sit on your existing process and can enable you to bring more efficiencies in your current processes and value out of your current system. So that's my take on technology.
Thank you so much.
Just to add to that, right?
Yeah.
See, 2 aspects, right? One, you asked when your students complete and move to take and probably enhance their family businesses or MSME, if I may quote unquote call it, what they need to do, right? So it is one of the reason, in my view, it is because of the generation gap, right? So now the newer generation, as Professor Gurinder said, that they have 4 or 5 gadgets. It means that they are very conversant with the digital adoption, right? It's easy for them now when they go to the businesses, they don't have the legacy mindset, they have a transformational mindset. So it is easy for them to adopt a technology. They only need to do three things. I completely agree with Ms. Poonam. Data is important, right? So they need to look at only three things in my view. One is their customer experience, right? If they are looking at enhancing their business, they need to look from an outside-in perspective. Whatever they can adopt and do from a better customer experience perspective, that is where they need to invest their time, money, effort. That is where it will yield result. Second, they need to have an experimental mindset. Unlike the earlier projects of 6 months, 1 year, these people need to experiment with the product mindset, which is, okay, can I do it in 6 weeks? Can I experiment whether this kind of channel works for my end customer? Whichever MSME segment they are, whichever MSME client segment they are addressing, they need to have this thinking. Second. And third, they need to know how to monetize their data. The winners in any MSME segment or any other large segment could be, if they focus on these three things, they will become the winner. Answering to your technology question, of course, there are many technologies, especially in digital world, it comes and goes, right? So we can list down many technologies. For MSME specifically, they need to learn to adopt to cloud, because that is the most economical way of experimenting. If we are adopting the experimental mode of taking their product and solution into client services, solutions, whatever their businesses is, but they need to adopt to cloud, and they need to learn how to adopt to cloud, and then what is the right channel to utilize that technology. It is extremely important.
Thank you.
I think there are a number of questions, but we have just about 4 minutes with us. So I'm taking questions of our 3 vice chancellors who have sent a message to me that we should ask some questions on the future universities also, since the discussion is on the future technologies. Thank you very much. I think that Mr. Gopalakrishna and Poonam and Mr. Surendra, the way you were describing, students, they really know how to play with gadgets, but we need to make them understand that how they will be using these gadgets in their businesses. The questions which academicians have is today that when we talk to the students, it seems to us that they already know 90% of the things. You talk to a 40-year-old boy and you tell him that, well, I'm going to teach you a theorem, mathematical theorem, I know it. And you say, well, how do you know it? Right? So he will tell you that how to do what this theorem was all about, or how to make angles. You want to teach economics to someone, and he is going to tell you that what is the application of this concept, because I think that a lot of information is available. So a lot of knowledge, a lot of information is already available. And I think that the students have also come in their comfort zone, because when I talk to students and I compare the students, that when we started teaching in a university system 27, 28 years back, and when we look at them now, their demands have totally changed. They are relaxed now. They want to sit in their room. They want to look at that what is available on the screen. They would just like to note down. So do you think that in the times to come, and this is one of the research studies which McKinsey has done, they feel, do you think, first of all, from an industry point of view, do you agree that in the times to come, physical universities will lose their charm? So students will not like to come to the universities, right? Whereas virtual universities will have an edge over the physical universities, because traditionally those who have taught in the university system, they feel that human interaction is must. Because at the end of the day, you are interacting with humans. Because in the business, whatever you may do, whatever data analytics you may do, whatever cloud computing you may do, at the end of the day, you are talking to humans. Whereas the other thought is, which is the new thought, that the students of tomorrow, they are restless, as we were looking at. Maybe that they would not like to come to the universities. Maybe they will not like to come and sit in the classrooms. They will like to do something else. So what is your view? You feel that the universities of tomorrow are going to be the virtual universities? Or do you think that the universities of tomorrow are still going to be the physical universities? Last question.
COVID has already transformed all the physical university, virtual university now, not tomorrow actually. Today, almost all the universities are virtual. So it is there. I think to answer your question, definitely I think it's an information age. A lot of information. I think the students really don't need to attend the classes. They can learn on their own. I think the learning is going to be more of how do we really leverage the information? How do we really monetize those information into a value making, thing? So because at the end of the day, monetization is very, very important. Actually. We may learn a lot. The student really need to know that how do the student will really monetize the information which he or she learning over the internet, and how do the person will transform that skill set into a kind of value making skill set for the life skill. That I think that's very important. So universities still will add values in that sense. I think that's where I think we are going on the reverse way. I think we were talking about IITs and the top brand universities where it has been very popular at that point of time. They were providing the infrastructure and they were instilling the skills required to make the value out of it, right? So today, the same thing we need now, there are a lot of information. Now the universities need to transform those information into values for the students. I think that's what the value is going to be. It doesn't matter whether it's physical or virtual.
So my view actually is it's going to be in a hybrid environment, the future universities. It's not going to be completely digital. It's not going to be completely physical. So this hybrid environment is going to set in, because completely virtual is also not kind of a recommended option. It will create a lot of mental stress, a lot of physical stress on an individual. And the way I see is every university will adopt this hybrid platform architecture where student can do a lot of self-study through virtual environment. When he wanted to get that experiential learning through mentorship and coaching, he is definitely going to come to the class. And what I expect is the future students who are going to sit in the class is much more focused, much more energetic, and much more enthusiastic, because they would have done all the rudimentary stuff studying virtually and come into the class. That's how I see it.
It's going to be more of problem-based learning, actually. I think that's what happens.
Universities are not just about learning. It is about camaraderie. It is about we are social animals at the end of the day, right? So we can't be sitting in one room and always staring in front of a laptop, desktop, or any other digital media, and then consuming information. Too much of consumption of information, not spreading that information, is unhealthy to human being, right? So I completely agree with Surendra that it has to be hybrid. Of course, it has. COVID has pushed us to the corner, but I don't think we'll continue to be staying in that corner, right? So we will have the resilience to come back and do something new, and that new would be hybrid.
I kind of second that thought completely. And I think COVID situation has only nudged the universities who were not wanting to be digital. So good. Now hybrid, as you rightly said, humans will not, machines are not going to replace humans, and humans are not going to replace. It has to be, have to coexist. That is the time that is ahead of us, though not immediately. But the future is to have definitely digital learning, and the learning in which, even in the experiential learning in the classes, something that used to be a miss, because you have to plug in you have to be omni-channel, right? So universities are now pushed to be omni-channel, to give the kind of learning that was not coming physically, to be able to convert into experiential bite-sized learning that can go to somebody at the, a student is holidaying, just like we say, as professionals, we are holidaying, something will come, and if it's just a bite-sized learning, I would want to consume it. So consumption of content has become so high that even if the university learning is coming in an interesting way and the content is interesting, it can be consumed anytime. So hybrid systems will have to work ahead.
So it will be phygital physical plus digital.
Yep, absolutely.
Absolutely. I think youngsters and our very senior vice chancellors, our deans, our very learned faculty members, our research scholars, I think message has gone to you that hybrid is going to be the model. And whatever you may say, you love technology, you hate technology. The bottom line is that you need to implement technology. Right? And that is what we have done at Amity. We have come up with the new programs because we feel that unless you concentrate on the new programs and you create a new model of education, you will not be successful. And all of you, you will be amazed that with the help of the industry leaders, I think that India is emerging as a knowledge hub of the world. Today, if we look at, that there were few universities who never wanted to collaborate. Today, if you look at MIT, you look at Harvard, you look at Princeton, you look at Yale, look at LSE, look at Cambridge, look at Oxford, right? All of them open for collaboration on the virtual mode. Only a day back, we had a professor of Yale, marketing professor, coming virtually, speaking to students and talking to students. It was not possible earlier. A few days back, a professor of Harvard coming together and speaking to the students. So I think that world is realizing that where the youngsters are. So don't worry, youngsters. I think the message from the industry is that hybrid model is going to survive. But at the same time, don't be over worried about that whether you will get placements or how the things would look like. To my mind, people will still eat, people will still drink, people will still travel, people will still have bank accounts, right? People will do degrees, right? And whatever you may say, you may do, taking knowledge is an art, right? You can have it, but then implementing that art, you need human interaction. So universities will exist. So I think that the universities will have a role to play in grooming, how you dress up, how you should talk, how much respect you give to people. When two human beings sit together, right, there is always an argument. How to diffuse that argument? It's art, and you need to learn it. But thank you so very much, industry captains. It was really a privilege. From the bottom of our heart, we thank each one of you. Thank you, Mr. Ravi Kumar. Thank you, Ms. Poonam Vijay Thakur. Thank you, Kumare Sinha. Thank you, Mr. Parnav Kumar. Thank you, Mr. Gopala Krishna. Thank you, Mr. Surinder. And thank you so much, Mr. Ashwin, to bring them up. And our very learned IT HODs and professors, Seema Sahai, Dr. Anil Kumar, and our Professor Sharad Khattar, and our own Vice President, Professor Bhavna Kumar. It was certainly an intellectual treat to listen to all of you. Once the university is open, we will formally invite you to the campus. Please keep on coming to the campus. Amity has 11 universities in India, and we have got 15 foreign campuses. Please do come over. Anytime you feel that you have some time, we will be more than privileged to welcome you. On behalf of our founder, on behalf of our Chancellor, Dr. Chauhan, and on behalf of everyone, once again, thank each one of you.
Sir, if you permit, I just have one request because I feel that it is not only going to be a hybrid model. Having come from industry, I feel that the role of industry in learning is going to be very, very important. And it is going to be industry-driven teaching that is going to make a difference, which is not going to be possible without people like those who are on the panel today, because there is no substitute for the overload of data. The only substitute for the overload of data which people are not able to understand is experience and wisdom, and people are actually implementing. So if industry-driven models are implemented, just as we have in other domains of our institution, so we actually get to do projects which are being done by these people on the panel. And that is going to be a very, very important role for students to be able to make use of the industry infrastructure while being on the job. So I would be grateful if everybody on the panel could keep on sparing time, and also we could think of how some industry centers could be developed at universities like Amity, and those centers could help to make that learning. It's not about physical, it's not about virtual, but I think it's going to be maybe tripod. I'm trying to think of a better word that is going to survive.
I think it's a great suggestion, and we already have a lot of industry centers, but we will take suggestions from each one of you. If you can help us in creating the industry centers, that would be great help. But once again, thank you so very much, and well done, Gaurav. I think excellently you organized.
Thank you, sir.